Just a thought to consider here. I'm Katie Willis, and I'd like to inform you of some inconsistencies of popularly held beliefs in the scope of U.S. immigration. Tony. The experts at ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, say that there are over 11 million illegal aliens in the United States, and most of them are from Mexico. And these are fresh data, folks, right off the press from last month. Here in the U.S., there are also many commonly held beliefs about Mexicans and immigrations, especially stemming from the working class. I'm quite sure that as Americans, we've all heard these popularly held beliefs. One is that Mexicans are taking American jobs. This is identified as the big problem, and the given solutions to the identified problem are that we should build a bigger wall, we should go to war with Mexico, or at the very least, they should all go home. Let's explore these popularly held beliefs, not to change your personal political opinion on this polarized issue, but to show you some inconsistencies of these beliefs. And I'd like you to gain an understanding of people doing what it takes to survive. To put that into perspective, more people have died trying to cross the border from Mexico to the United States than died on 9/11, says Philip Grain, an author of many titles related to globalization and immigration issues. Just a brief historical context, realize that in 1492, Columbus did sail the ocean blue and stumbled upon a new world, which was exploited, the people and the environments, by Europeans, but it also completely changed the economies of European nations. What occurred beyond the slave trade was an installation of slave continents, and as well as a new world, a mixing of cultures, a mixing that continues to this day. So you say, let's build a bigger wall. This will stop the mixing of cultures that's been occurring for over 500 years now. If a wall was what was separating you from a job that you needed to support your family, a job which might make the difference for your children's future, would you turn around or would you figure out how to surmount it? Another commonly heard belief is that they should all go home. I mean, is this even a realistic solution? Immigrants make up 13% of America's workforce, according to the Center of Immigration Studies. Kevin Johnson, a law professor and graduate of Harvard, says that Mexican immigration is often publicly linked to worse or bad economic conditions in the U.S. Think they're draining our welfare system, they use the benefits of American citizens but don't pay our taxes, but is this actually the case? No. Demonstrated by this graph here, in 2010, immigrant households paid over $10 billion in tax dollars. And one must be a citizen and comprehensively qualified to receive welfare benefits. A National Bureau of Economics research study shows that actually almost all American workers have benefited as a result of immigration. Businesses usually benefit from the cheap labor. Let's explore what jobs are usually filled by Mexican immigrant and migrant workers. Census data shows us that it's usually uneducated and unskilled Mexicans who come across the border and work American jobs. This is because usually educated Mexicans stay in Mexico because there are more job opportunities there. Hence, immigrants hold 35% of unskilled jobs here in the United States. This is demonstrated by this graph. 35% of unskilled jobs are held by immigrants, while immigrants only make up 13% of our workforce. These are jobs like Tyson chicken factory workers, strawberry pickers, dishwashers. But these are certainly not the only jobs that both immigrant and migrant workers take. Another study by the Center of Immigration Studies shows that 1 in 5 immigrant jobs are actually not unskilled positions. So yes, this work is generally illegal, especially if they don't have permission to be here. Let's briefly examine the immigration laws to get a more thorough understanding. Current laws under the Obama administration aim to deport around 400,000 illegals a year. But even with 10% of the Department of Homeland Security's budget, around $56 million, we're failing to do this. Current laws favor American people, the farmers, the homeowners, the managers, the corporations are not arrested for hiring illegal workers. This is contradictory. When ICE arrests undocumented workers, the companies who hired them, who profit off their exploited labor, are generally not touched. And the 2011 report from the Department of Homeland Security shows that only 58 companies and 62 individuals were touched for hiring illegal workers in this last year. It seems like we could nip the employers in the bud. Instead, the working man is deported and punished, but the company will just hire another and replace him. This isn't working, and more importantly, this isn't a new occurrence. Traditionally, the U.S. has connections with Mexico going well back into the 20th century. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1917 allowed only a particular type of worker, a type of agricultural worker, to enter the U.S., which shapes the mold for a tradition of American reliance on these types of workers. Braceros, a Spanish word for strong arms, the type of worker allowed to enter the U.S. It used to be legal for Mexicans to enter the U.S. In fact, World War II created a demand for labor, and Mexicans helped to scratch the itch of economic growth. In the 40s, 50s, and early 60s, over 5 million Mexicans entered the U.S. absolutely legally, but the Bracero program came to an end in 1964. Another program aimed at the labor link between the U.S. and Mexico is NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which connects the U.S., Mexico, and Canada economically. And while this is positive for multinational corporations and trade, this is not so great for the individual worker. The National Agricultural Law Center says that in order to set NAFTA into action, immigration was left out of the discussion. So, it's currently illegal for most braceros and other Mexican workers to be here, even though the tradition of it exists. These paradoxes leave me with questions about why it is the Mexican who is to blame for this situation. Nonetheless, regardless of the blame, what is happening, and no wall, war, or current laws are stopping it. The situation of immigration and migration is this way for historic reasons and remains this way because of ramifications of these reasons, including economic policies along with globalization, and will remain this way so long as laws in the U.S. stay the same and so long as economic conditions in Mexico do not improve. No one chooses the world or nationality to which we were born into. All we can do is make the best of the situation and do what we can to survive. All I can do is hope that you take this information as I presented it to you and think about how contradictory this current situation and current laws actually are. Thank you all very much.